Ladies and gentlemen, this is TVP World. You're watching another edition of World Talks. I'm your host, Benjamin Lee, and please join me and my guests on this exclusive interview. Now, Belarus has opened its borders to visa-free travel for citizens of over 35 countries, a significant move that raises questions about the motivations and potential consequences of this decision. This policy, effective from July 19, 2024, allows residents from various European nations to enter Belarus without a visa for stays up to 30 days. Joining us on TVP World to discuss the reasons behind this policy change, the potential threat it poses, and how EU countries should respond is Alina Koushyk, Belarusian National Revival representative. Hello and welcome to TVP World.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
A lot of question marks that we have here. First of all, why? And the timing is also very, very interesting. I really find it hard to believe that Lukashenko is just doing all of this out of his goodwill. Can you help us dissect the situation about this visa-free travel?
Definitely. Thank you for having a broader context of this decision of self-proclaimed so-called president of Belarus, mainly dictator Alexander Lukashenko. By this step, they say that Belarus is aimed at reducing tensions and demonstrates its love and peace. But if you will have a look at the Polish-Belarusian border and some footages from border, you see how really Belarus demonstrates its love of peace. You see that migrant crisis is quite intense at that moment, and we know that Lukashenko and his special services are staring about this crisis, and we know then President of Poland, Andrzej Duda, came to China and spoke to Chinese authorities. At one moment, this migrant crisis was almost stopped, but each time Lukashenko wants to show its power, wants to show that he can bother Poland, he sent some more illegal migrants to Polish-Belarusian border. What is important? At the moment, this decision of Belarusian regime is because Western countries, they do not cancel visas for Belarusian citizens. Moreover, European Union imposed sanctions on Belarus due to its support of Russian invasion on Ukraine. And important moment you didn't mention in your previous words, that starting from 16th of July, persons driving cars with Belarusian license plates were prohibited from entering the EU through Latvian checkpoints. No goods can be imported from Belarus that allowed the country to diverse its sources of income and participate in Russia's aggression against Ukraine. It seems like Minsk believes that it has resolved everything, and there is no need to this kind of normalization with its neighbors. This decision on visa-free regime, however, is not the first step in recent days by Belarusian authorities, as they say, to reduce tensions. A few days ago, Alexander Lukashenko announced withdrawal of the Belarusian military from border with Ukraine, saying, among the other things, that there are enough normal people in Ukraine, and this is necessary to negotiate peace. I'm quoting Lukashenko. At the moment, Foreign Minister of Regime Maxim Rezhenkov said that on 15th of July, Minsk is ready for dialogue with Warsaw, and they say that at the moment a ball is on Polish side, and that personally he also underlined that he has Polish roots. Polish foreign minister, they stated that country is ready, but so far they see that just Belarusians' desire to achieve short-term political goals, but not a strategic change of policy. And we as democratic forces, we as representatives of transitional united cabinet are grateful to our partners, to Polish side, for having this strong position and supporting. We really think that negotiations with dictator should lead just from stepping him out, but not to legalizing of his presence. And we know that all these steps are just a preparation for 2025. Then we know that Lukashenko will try to have like presidential elections, but we could not call these really elections because there would be no competition on these elections. We already know this. That's why at the moment they're trying to have like a kind of better relations with Western partners.
All right, speaking of better relations, we saw the head of state, Lukashenko, also proposed that the Polish side, like you mentioned, the ball is in Polish court, and they're ready to receive any Polish delegation, any experts, specialists, government representatives jointly to examine the situation at the border. Now, again, I find that to be quite perplexing. I know I've seen enough Game of Thrones to know that maybe things aren't that simple. Can you help us understand a little bit of what's the intention behind the sudden goodwill of gesture? Is it just for internal consumption, for perhaps the 2025 election? Like you mentioned, there's really no point of calling it a legitimate election anyways.
I believe that this free proposal is more like a cheap PR stunt and exclusively for internal use. We do understand that citizens of European countries, I hope they will not come to Belarus because Belarus is not a safe country. And we know that according to many ministers of foreign affairs, they do not recommend citizens of their countries to come to Belarus. And this is a way to show Belarusian citizens that Belarusian authorities are not to blame for their problems at the border. That's why, visa-free regime will not help of solving these problems on the border. And our neighbors want something completely different from Belarusian authorities. That's why, from one hand, Belarusian regime and Lukashenko, they are playing for internal use, just to say that you see, we are having so many good steps showing our goodwill to our neighbors. But from the other hand, I believe that they are quite long term for 2025, trying to establish better relations with the European Union. And we know that there are some contacts, not on the high level with Belarusian authorities. This is totally normal in diplomacy. But all our partners, they assured us that they will not legitimize Alexander Lukashenko. And we as democratic forces will do everything to show all the crimes of the regime. And we believe that Lukashenko should go under tribunal, maybe together with Putin or aside the Putin, but all these crimes that are made today and have been made recently in our country for last 30 years of his dictatorship should be punished.
All right, so the way that I see it, as you mentioned, perhaps this is an attempt at legitimizing his regime with the European Union, be it externally or internally. Thank you so much for helping us understand this. Now, this paints a more clear picture, definitely, than before, so really appreciate it. Thanks so much for being with us on TVP World.
Thank you.
And with that, we conclude this edition of our interview. But for more news, update, and commentary, please stay tuned to TVP World.